All right, problem number 1 on this study guide. A conveyor belt carries supplies from the first floor to the second floor, which is 24 feet higher. All right, so we're going to draw a horizontal line that's going to represent this floor. And then this conveyor belt is on this angle. So it's carrying supplies from the first floor to the second floor, okay, which is 24 feet higher. So our vertical leg of this right triangle is 24 feet. All right, we've got a right triangle here. This hypotenuse is the conveyor belt. The belt makes a 60-degree angle with the ground, so this angle in here is 60 degrees. That's your setup for this problem. Now, how far do the supplies travel from one end of the conveyor belt to the other? Round your answer to the nearest foot. So the hypotenuse is the conveyor belt. So the length of this hypotenuse is going to tell us how far the supplies travel. If we use our acronym, SOHCAHTOA, we've got an opposite side and we've got a hypotenuse. Opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So we're going to set up our proportion. So sine 60 equals the opposite side, which is 24, over the hypotenuse, which is what we're trying to find. We're going to put a 1 underneath our sine 60, and we're going to crisscross multiply. So sine 60 times x is equal to 1 times 24, which is 24. And then we divide both sides by sine 60. So 24 divided by sine 60. 27.7. How far the supplies to the nearest foot? So 27.7 rounds to 28 feet. All right, so 28 feet. Second part of the question. If the belt moves 75 feet per minute, how long to the nearest tenth of a minute does it take the supplies to move to the second floor? We're going to write another proportion. The second proportion will look like this. The belt moves 75 feet in 1 minute. So we're going to do 75 over 1 is equal to, if the belt moves 75 feet in 1 minute, we need to know how long it takes it to go 28 feet. So we do 28 over, we'll use M. We're going to crisscross multiply again. So 75M equals 28. And then we're going to divide both sides by 75. And our M equals 28 divided by 75. 0.37. All right, so if the belt moves 75, how long to the nearest tenth of a minute? Nearest tenth, so this is 0.37. So we're going to round it to the nearest tenth. That's going to be 0.4. So two-step problem. First step is to set up your proportion using sine, cosine, or tangent, and then solve. The second proportion is how fast the belt moves over 1 equal to how long the belt is, all right, over your variable. And then crisscross multiply again and solve. All right, problems 2, 3, and 4. What they're at, find the missing value to the nearest hundredth. They're basically saying tan something. Tan times something is equal to 86. All right. So here's the way this works. We're going to replace this something with a variable. We're going to say if tan x equals 86, then x equals, this is called inverse tan. We're going to take tan to the negative 1 power. All right, if tan x, or if tan times this blank box equals 86, then x is equal to inverse tan of 86. So this inverse of tan is the second button on your calculator and then the tangent button. It should be written behind it in a different color print font. So this x is equal to, I go 86 in the calculator, second tan, hit equals, and I get 89.33. In problem number 3, it's the same concept. If cosine x equals 7 over 14, then x is equal to inverse cosine of 7 over 14. So again, in the calculator, 7 over 14, and second cosine equals, so our x equals 60. And then problem number 3, if sine of x is equal to 2 over 25, then x equals inverse sine of 2 over 25. So our x is equal to 2 over 25, second sine equals 4.59. All right, problem number 4, write tangent ratios for angle y and angle z. Tangent equals opposite over adjacent. So we're going to start with tan y. Tan y is equal to, here's y. Opposite of y is 3. Adjacent to y is 5. Tan z. Tangent for z. Opposite over adjacent. So opposite of z is the 5. Adjacent is the 3. So those are your tan ratios for angle y and angle z. Problem number 6, tangent ratios again. So tan, TOA, for angle P and angle Q. P is up top. So we're going to say tan P equals opposite of P is 20. Adjacent to P is 21. And then tan of Q. Q's down here. Opposite of Q is 21. Adjacent to Q is 20. All right, and if you're taking notes and I move the screen before you get everything written down, just leave some space in your notes and I'll upload the videos as soon as we're done. You can watch it at your own speed. All right, number 7, write ratios for sine of A and cosine of A. Going to use our acronym again, SOHCAHTOA. We need sine of A. Sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. So A is up here. Opposite of A is 3. Hypotenuse is 5. Cosine of A. Cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent to A is the 4. And the hypotenuse is 5. So there's your ratios for sine A and cosine A. All right, problem 8 and 9. Use trig ratio to find the value of x. Round your answer to the nearest tenth. All right, we need x. We're given a 20-degree angle. In relation to the 20-degree angle, we're dealing with opposite and adjacent. Tan equals opposite over adjacent. So tan 20 equals the opposite side, which is 9, over the adjacent side, which is the variable. I'm going to crisscross multiply. So tan 20 times x is equal to 9. Divide both sides by tan 20. The tan 20s cancel, and our x equals 9 divided by tan 20. And we're to the nearest tenth, 24.7. And number 9 is the same setup. because you're given a 30-degree angle. In relation to that angle, you're trying to find the opposite side, and you're given the adjacent side. So opposite and adjacent, we're going to use tangent again. So tan 30 equals the opposite side x over the adjacent side 7. Crisscross multiply. So our x is equal to tan 30 times 7. So our x is equal to 4. Any questions up till now? Problem number 10, we're finding the value of x again. So we've got a 28-degree angle, we've got a hypotenuse, and we've got an adjacent side. Adjacent and hypotenuse. Cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Cosine 28 equals the adjacent side, which is 11, over the hypotenuse, which is x. Crisscross multiply. Cosine 28x equals 11. Divide each side by cosine 28. These cancel, our x falls down, and we're back to 11 divided by cosine 28. And 12.5. When you're doing these sine, cosine, tangent proportions, always hit equals at the end of your calculations. Okay? Always hit equals at the end of your calculations. Problems 11 and 12, we're still finding the value of x. .36-degree angle, we've got adjacent again, and we've got hypotenuse. Adjacent and hypotenuse, cosine. Cosine 36 equals the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. One times x is x, and then cosine 36 times 10. So our x equals 8.1. In problem number 12, we've got this 35-degree angle. We've got an opposite side, and we've got the hypotenuse. Opposite and hypotenuse, sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. So sine 35 is equal to this opposite side 18 over the hypotenuse x. So sine 35x equals 18. Divide each side by sine 35. And our x is equal to 18 divided by 35 sine is 31.4. All right, problem 13, last one. Again, we've got an angle, we've got its opposite side, and we've got the hypotenuse. So sine 20, I'm sorry, opposite hypotenuse, sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. So sine 20 equals opposite over hypotenuse. Crisscross multiply, x times 1 is x. We're going to go sine 20 times 18. So our x equals 6.2. All right, that completes your study guide for quiz 25. Does anybody have any questions? All right, you've got the rest of the period to review your study guide notes, complete electronic assignments, and/or work in the ALEX app. 8 topics in the ALEX app this week.